Hello Motor Rider World fans, and welcome to this video review where we take the exclusive, the limited 1.4 million rand BMW HP4 Race and put it up against a 450,000 rand slightly modified production version of the S1000RR model. So what we have here is a 2020 model of BMW's S1000RR. This is the new spec, the new gen, new performance, new styling. This is the M Sport version as well, so it comes standard with those carbon fiber wheels. It's been dressed to impress for the racetrack, so it's got a full body race kit, a host of carbon fiber parts, including those very cool carbon fiber winglets from the team at World of Carbon in South Africa. It's a stock standard motor, so pushing out about 205 horsepower. It has had the added benefit of a full Burtec race system, so it has opened up the motor ever so slightly. Electronics remain stock standard. It does have race gearing, race chain. It's had the M Sport rear sets fitted, and for this test we fitted both this and the HP4 Race with Pirelli Diablo Rosso Corsa race tyres, SE2 front, SE1 rear, to get the real performance out of these bikes. The biggest difference on this machine is out comes the stock standard electronic suspension. So it's had internal Öhlins cartridges at the front and the Öhlins TTX rear shock. It runs standard pump fuel and weighs in at about 190 kilos wet weight, compared to BMW's HP4 Race here that we've got on test. Now this is hand built, purely to go racing for the racetrack. It is the previous gen, based on the previous gen S1000RR, as you can see with the styling. Prefer the new styling, but still the HP4 Race does look glorious in race trim. It's got a host of race parts that you cannot just go and buy on the open market. That Öhlins front suspension, Öhlins rear shock. It's got all the buttons, you can see all the telemetry there, World Superbike electronics. Engine is based on the S1000RR, but it is World Superbike spec, so pushes out 215 horsepower. The overall weight of this bike is 171 kilos wet weight, and that's down to all the carbon fiber. The question is not what is carbon fiber, it's what's not carbon fiber. Just about everything on this bike is carbon fiber. It was a failed project in many ways because they did want to reproduce 750 limited models for the worldwide market. Unfortunately, I think they stopped at between 380 and 400 just because of the overall cost. But a division was set up with 8 mechanics to simply hand build these bikes, so there was just no demand for a 1.4 million rand hand built bike, but still a glorious piece of machinery that runs race fuel and has a lot of components and tech that simply can't be bought on the open market. days riding here at Kyalami Grand Prix circuit on the 2 BMW Motorrad bikes. I've got Sheridan Moraes, the fastest race on the entire planet. After what I saw today, it just reaffirms that once again. We've got the 1.4 million rand BMW HP4 Race, hand-built, limited edition, carbon fiber, everything, frame, subframe. It's got a Suter swing on. It's just this full built, hand-built to go faster on a racetrack. S1000RR that anyone can buy, turned into a race bike. Full fairing, full pipe, the accelerator flaps open, the air sensor taken out, and one or two other things. But 450,000 rand, 1.4 million rand. Sheridan Moraes, obviously World Endurance, World Supersport superstar in his Yamaha jacket here with 2 BMWs, but that's how we like it. So she did a little bit of riding. We were hampered with the weather today, but the big question is the difference is a million rand difference. Let's start with the HP4 first. I mean, that in the hands of someone like you on a day set up, well worth all the money because you're going to get the full potential out of that.
Yeah, definitely. You know, to use the potential of it, like you say, you need to have it set up specifically for me. I need it set up properly in that because this one's quite hard. But the bike is super fast, and I'm quite surprised at how well it handles because this generation of BMW, the standard ones, weren't
they were stubborn
for good handling, and then when you add horsepower to it, it made it worse. Whereas this thing with all the bells and whistles that it's got, it's the first time I've ridden this one with the carbon frame, and it's yeah, I was really impressed. I did a couple of laps on it and went really fast, so I was super impressed with it. And I mean, you don't kind of buy this sort of thing because you want to go super duper fast and do MotoGP times, and I think if you buy something like this, it's for the prestige, you know. But I thought it was built for that, you know, just the prestige, just for the looks and to say I've got one. But I was mighty impressed. It really is fast.
So that's almost World Superbike. You've done a lot of World Superbikes before. Öhlins, proper Öhlins, the cartridges. It's all the stuff straight out of World Superbike paddock. How did it feel compared to some World Superbikes that you've ridden, engine-wise, and like I said, all the components?
Yeah, it felt like a World Superbike, to be honest. The power, it's really strong, but easy to ride. But the only thing that I would say is not World Superbike level is the electronics. It's a little bit more like, I'd say more like the standard bike kind of thing, but obviously doesn't hold you back quite as much. But yeah, chassis and that and engine, like I say, it's really fast, so it felt like a World Superbike. I mean, makes sense, it's got all the same parts on brakes, forks, everything. It's World Superbike. Actually more, it's like a prototype, it's like GP.
It's got the frame,
carbon frame, and the engine's got no restrictions, so it's quite a trick bike.
Look at this S1000RR, a million rand difference between the two bikes. I mean, we've touched upon it a couple of times. This bike as a base bike is a fantastic bike, but in this kind of trim, okay, setup, we could also do a little bit of changes with this and that, but not that fast, not a million rand off, really. If you look at it like that, it's not a million rand off.
No. As much as I love that, and it's really cool to ride and super fast and that, it's right there.
Yeah.
It's right there. So, if money wasn't an option, I'd still choose this. I think, even if they were priced the same, I think I'd still go with this. Looking a lot better. I think the new looks look a lot better. And you can add to this, like you say already, with the suspension. I can set it up to be on par with that. I'd say on par with that. Horsepower a little bit down, but I mean, for $1 million in the bank account, I'd rather just
You
have
can
a
throw-
bike that's 2/10 slower.
You
know?
can throw $500,000 at this and you'd
Yeah.
be just as fast as that.
Yeah.
Lap time wise, I mean, they were very close. Like I said, set up on this bike, you could feel the difference between hard, rigid, ready to race, go kind of forks and adverse production that you've got to tweak kind of thing. This has got Olin's cartridges in and Olin's rear shock that just need to be set up. But like I said, 450,000 Rand, $1 million. Prestige, would love to have it just to say you've got it and you've got a piece of history in a way, because BMW, they were going to be 700, then they only ended up making, I think, 300 something of those. Not everyone gets to ride that, so fantastic machine. But I think this kind of test, we looked at it, I think this highlights more how good this bike is. At 450 grand, ready to go race, you could win local national races on this by spending 450,000 Rand compared to 1.4.
Yeah, 100%, definitely. And I mean, now I think the local racing doesn't have rules in that, but I honestly think because you know, to run something, a world superbike, it's not just a matter of a rider. That's what World Championship are about. You've got people running it all around you, and staff and technicians and electronic guys and nerds and really clever guys. But this thing for nationals and that, you can just work on it yourself. You can get the local mechanic that doesn't have a aeronautical engineer degree, and he can set it up for you, and you can go as fast, maybe faster than that, because with that, to get it any better than that, you need to have like really
someone
good
who knows how to do
technicians
it
and that kind of stuff. But yeah, definitely. I mean, the money sense is a no-brainer, and second, the looks for me is the next thing, definitely.